The playoffs for the Blast Premier Spring Final have begun, and I'd like to cover a couple of the series from this event, starting with FaZe versus Vitality. Now, the reason I want to cover this is because they actually played a game of Dust 2, and actually, since Dust 2 has been added to the map pool, I have not done a demo review on that map, so we'd like to do the first one today. I think that it's a perfect one to do it for. I think there's a lot of new changes to the map that have been kind of discovered since it's been added into this game, so we're going to go ahead and look at this game and see how it compares from the final version of CSGO Dust 2 that we played, and we'll get right into that right after a quick word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a site where you could trade skins that you already have to get some skins that you might want. That way you can hop into your next game with some fresh new skins. All you have to do is log into the site through Steam, put in the skins that you don't want anymore, grab the skins that you do, and then click trade. Trades happen almost immediately, and any balance that you don't use in the trade will roll over for a trade that you might do in the future. Right now you can get a free $5 if you were to use code Austin on the site, and if you were to use my code you would get an additional 5% on top of the 30% deposit bonus. So let's say if you deposit $100, that means you would get $135 if you use my code to deposit. So make sure you guys check out SkinsMonkey, and let's get right back into the video. Now, we're not going to be looking at a specific person in general, but I actually just want to look at how these two top teams just play the map. I want to look at the meta. I want to see how they're addressing things like long control, how they're dealing with mid control, given all of the utility changes that have been made going into this game, of course, with the bigger smokes, the smokes that spread down, and with the molly changes on T side only now. It used to be both, but now just T side. Kind of just curious. I actually do have some notes here I wrote down because I already watched the demo. I got a few rounds that I think are really good. Let's start with this first round, which is actually round 2. In this round, this is a pretty standard round from both teams. So FaZe is going to be on like a weird save. Normally I would skip this round, but they win it. And there's actually some nades that they use. So they start off with like kind of holding for mid aggression. Kerrigan actually gets an opening with the scout. And then off the back of that, they're going to group up in tunnels. Now, the thing I wanted to focus on was actually the utility that's thrown here from Mr. Rain. Let's find him here. He's going to jump into this corner, and he's got some new lineups for us. So from this corner, he's going to left click at that dot, and then flash, jump throw flash over the wall. He's going to do a really good job at getting FaZe out into the site. Now remember, this is just an eco, and 2 nades get a bunch of Glocks out onto the site. I think that that is worth looking at for sure. Even though the round doesn't end up going FaZe's way, I do think that that is very cool, the utility that they used. And yeah, I mean, it's just standard Dust 2. Like, there's not a lot to really look at here. That's going to bring us into the next round, which is actually round 3. In the notes here, I have the long take that Vitality is using, very reminiscent of a CSGO long take that we used to run at the end of the meta, which is where the CTs, instead of smoking the door, will actually smoke in the middle of long corner and pit. And since smokes are bigger in this game, you're going to get a lurk smoke that makes it very difficult for anybody picking the corner to actually be able to pick you. Plus, if they were to come out, the T's that is, they're going to have to deal with you having this entire smoke to play around, and you can also cross the pit. I've been throwing this in my pug so far in Dust 2. It's still pretty good. I just wanted to highlight that in case you're playing solo queue pugs. This smoke is actually very, very good for fighting long, especially when your team is not that coordinated. It's also really good for when your team is coordinated. Now, there is some interesting things going on from FaZe. They were always a team in CSGO known for doing these weird mid walks, and we're going to see a couple more examples of that later in this half. But yes, Rain did just walk out mid by himself. This is no, you know, back in the day, it used to be Rain and Nico that would walk out mid together on timings, and it has mixed results. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this round, it did not work, and I think that was everything. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. The execute, I think they just contact out and then they die here. So the next round we want to look at is round 5. Let's go ahead and skip around a little bit. Round number 5 I have in my notes here, which is the fast cat with weird mid flashes. So since Dust 2 has been re-added into the game, I find it very important that everybody knows how to do a proper fast cat. So the proper fast cat is to stand on the corner of this box right here. As you can see, Flames is going to fast cat Apex, and it lets you get up fast cat. Now, it's very important to know that because people doing the slow one are just living in old meta, so I don't know what to say. I think that's about it. I like the way that Vitality is playing this mid fight here, because what's happened is Spinks is pushed into lower, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's an insane shadow advantage here lower. But since Apex was fast catted, he actually can put pressure into lower, as in he's nading, or maybe he like jump spots, mollies, and it's actually going to pull away from the idea that somebody could be lower. Because Apex got fast catted, it would be kind of weird to just expect somebody to be lower here. And so by Apex going up here, he's actually able to distract Rain just a little bit so that Spinks can step out off of this nade and get a free kill. And I think he even doubles down here if I remember correctly. He doesn't. Kerrigan gets to trade, but still, really cool idea from Vitality. Now, after this, we are going to see an interesting exec. There is a new version of cat control that is being taken from the T's. We'll cover that a little bit later in the half. But yeah, Dust 2 is pretty much the same as it's always been. I mean, there's not a lot of additions to the meta. It's mostly just spreading out, making sure that you hold the long pushes. If you get long spawns, you're going to take out. If you don't, then you're going to do some weird mid control from coming in through lower. There is new potential for B rushes. We will see a B rush coming up here actually next round, so that'll be fun to look at. And yeah, I mean, it's just more of the same. I mean, this map in particular, the reason I remember a lot of people disliking it is because there's not a lot of options, and that's why it's not my favorite map to demo review, is because the map, it pretty much just plays itself. People don't understand what I mean when I say that, but I mean, like, you get the spawns on T side, and then you play based off of the spawns. If you get long spawns, you go long. If you don't, then you do a mid default. If you do get the B spawns, you can go for a B rush or something like this, right? There's not a lot of like cool, unique strategies. It's mostly just a default map and an aim map. And people like ZywOo, or really any opper, is just going to dominate people because the map is just too long range. Like everywhere you go, there's a long range angle that you're going to have to fight, which really lends itself to ops. I mean, even if you go cat here, you're still not getting away. So yeah, we'll go ahead and skip to the next round. I think the boys are just going to contact out here and they're going to get shut down by Mr. Wu. Now we do have the B rush as promised. Let's see who threw the smoke. It's Rops. Let's get the lineup, boys. So Rops, of course, is going to be our guy that is our B rush smoke thrower. We'll fast forward a little bit. Let's catch this lineup. He is going to line up in front of this door here and give it a run throw. Seems like a very loose lineup. Actually, he gets dropped another smoke, but of course, if we come look, we'll see that is a B smoke just as expected, and he's also going to pair that with some flashes. Now, I'm going to actually run this round back from the CT perspective so you can see how they handled the B rush. So off of the back of the B rush smoke getting spotted, you're going to see this molly is just a default, but afterwards, Mezzy is actually just going to keep his gun out. A lot of people will be tempted to pull out an HE or to, I don't know, try to flash for themselves, but no, both of the players on Vitality are going to keep their guns out. This is very, very important to note. Now, Spinks might have time to drop an HE here. He does, 100%. And then, of course, he's going to keep his gun out. This is how B rushes go wrong. It's very hard to lose a B rush if you have two people here, as long as you keep your guns out. The flashes are almost never going to be good enough to blind somebody close. And the guy farther back, he has time to throw extra util, and he also just needs to keep his gun out. But that's how you handle a B rush. If you've been watching it closely, you may notice that there is something that the CTs have a really big advantage on, which is this timing to push somebody into lower. Now, this is no secret. A lot of you guys that play Dust 2, whenever you get the spawn ZywOo has, you might actually be tempted to just run into lower. Now, in order to counter this, the Ts, of course, can go for the pick if they drop mid, or they can throw this Molotov, which actually became meta in CSGO. This will be the first time that we see it thrown in CS2 today. I mean, other teams are throwing it, but FaZe, of course, Kerrigan's going to drop down. He's going to molly lower. Super simple molly, but it's very effective. It keeps that timing away. If anybody wants to go lower, they're going to have to eat that Molotov, but it makes it a lot easier for people to be more comfortable taking these fights. It just basically makes taking this map control in lower a lot easier. And yeah, very good molly to know if you're struggling with lower aggression. Speaking of which, another thing that's really common is CT aggression on Dust 2 in the middle of the round. So we talk about CT aggression with mid pushes, which we're gonna look at some CT aggression here in a little bit. But whenever, you know, the CTs are pushing in lower, or they're doing these fast cats to come peek mid, or they're doing long takes, another option that they actually have is to push into tunnels, because very often the Ts will leave one lurker to just hold the push. You know, sometimes they'll hold from the stairs, sometimes they'll sit outside in T spawn and be a little nerd. But actually double pushing tunnels is very good, because a lot of the times, since this map is very standard and there's not a lot of variations, the majority of Ts will be doing cat control, or they're sitting outside long to do a late long take. So by double pushing in towards tunnels, you actually get a pretty favorable advantage on this guy. And worst case, they go 1 for 1, right? I guess they could go 0 for 2, but it's not likely. And then everybody's out of position. Like the Ts are not in position to just take advantage of this, and also the CTs are still in pretty decent positions to rotate in time if they tried. So it's a pretty good fight to just throw in every once in a while, which is actually what you're going to see here. Rops, of course, very aware of this possibility regardless. He's going to hold for this push, and actually I think he takes ZywOo down any second here. Yep, ZywOo actually resets a little bit, and Mezzy just walks away. Clean 5v4 advantage for FaZe. And off the back of that, they're going to group up for a cat exec. Now, I'm really excited to show you this new cat control that they do in a little bit, but in this round, I do want to show you the nades they're throwing. So Kerrigan's going to throw this version of the lurk smoke, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it gets the job done. And then I think Brokey, where is Brokey? He's going to throw another smoke. Let's watch him line it up here. The smoke Brokey's throwing is actually for elevator. I've not seen the lineup yet, so let's see it. He's going to line up on the corner here. And then he's going to look in the sky. Who knows where that's going to go. But this exec is, of course, this lurk smoke that Kerrigan threw, and then this smoke in towards elevator. Now, it landed like this both times that they threw it, and I'm not really sure if it's supposed to land like this. I don't really see the benefit to it because, I mean, in my opinion, it doesn't really make it any more difficult for the CTs to fight. It actually just gives the CTs a spot to stand here. And like, I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't, but that's what the pros are throwing, so if you want to try it out, you can. And Rops is going to win this. Believe it or not, Rops is going to clutch up for us here today. And yeah, just a standard little 1v2. I don't like to always watch clutches, but this is not a individual demo review, so we can get a cool little individual moment here. Bop! Look at that. Rops, that's my goat right there. Woo! It was a tough day to be a FaZe fan today, let me tell you that. Okay. Round number 8, what do we have? This is the mid-centric round. And what is a mid-centric round? Well, in CSGO, it was pretty much that the CTs would only take long, and sometimes, occasionally, if they had a good spawn, they could get into lower. Sometimes they could fast cat and go, you know, for a cat swing, and other than that, that was pretty much like the only place that the CTs had at the beginning of the round. But ever since the change that happened in CSGO that closed off this area in T-spawn, it's become significantly easier for the CTs to push mid, which is why you see people pushing into lower a lot more consistently in this game and at the end of CSGO. And you also see these very heavy committed fights in mid, which is what we're going to see this round. So I'm going to fill in the blanks for you a little bit because the map doesn't show mollies, so you're just going to have to bear with me. So Kerrigan's going to start by mollying lower, like we talked about. The idea is, like I said in the round before, denying this early aggression for the CTs. But what's going to happen that's different is ZywOo is actually going to peek in towards mid here and see that there's nobody coming down. Off of the back of this, they have a plan. I mean, the plan was already set beforehand because you could see where they're standing, but they want to push mid after the mollies, right? And they can. So as soon as this molly fades, ZywOo's going to hold top mid for them, and they're going to push up on this left side. But the problem is that if ZywOo's holding here, then who's holding here? Because it could be very easy that Kerrigan just comes up here and swings late, right? Well, that's exactly the next part. The next part is that Spinks is actually going to throw, or I think it's Spinks, or Apex. Apex is going to throw a Molotov towards the left side of top mid here, and the timing is actually going to allow for this mid fight, this mid creep to come in. You understand what I'm saying? So this is one of those weird things where Dust 2 is a little bit more tactically more deep than it used to be. I'm not really sure the proper term to use for that. Somebody let me know in the comments. There's a lot more tactical depth in Dust 2 these days for CT side because they're allowed to do stuff like this. So ZywOo's actually going to get smoked off. He's going to come through the smoke and he'll get quickly punished for going for that. But off the back of that, they actually are not aware that Spinks has made it up here, so Spinks is going to be able to get a dirty 2K before he gets traded by Kerrigan. Now, what I do like about this is you could see the entire default. You could see it all, right? Vitality knows exactly the entire default that FaZe just ran. They put 4 towards B, and Frozen's sitting outside A. You're going to see FaZe are about to do this default a couple more times. And off the back of this, it could allow Apex to call some stuff going into the next couple rounds. They pieced it together. Very cool little play there. Now, I've accidentally gone back. Now we're good. Let me check my notes really quick. Yeah, that was everything that I wanted to talk about, but I also thought it was interesting to note that the cross smoke is still getting thrown at the beginning of the round. That's just a small detail that I thought you guys would be interested to know. Getting picked on the cross is always going to be a problem, so the CTs still are using smokes to make sure that that's not happening. Just an interesting one for you there. Anyway, so the round's going to pretty much go from there. Brokey's going to throw this utility set that we talked about earlier with the same flash and everything. And then they're going to go out B. Nobody's home, and they get the bomb down and win the post plant because Dust 2 B site is pretty easy to win post plants in. And there you have it. So another round for FaZe. We will go on to the next round. Now this round is actually a very interesting one. So this is the first round that's going to show us that new cat control that I was talking about. And we're going to be looking at Frozen's POV. Now, the strat is a cat rush. So what Rops just threw off a spawn, he threw an instant mid-door smoke. That's pretty cool. Maybe I'll make a video on that. Let me know if you want the instant mid-door smokes video. I'll have to learn them from Rops. Next, after that, they're going to jump and run towards Cat, and Frozen's going to come out here in this area, and he's going to throw a couple of pieces of util. So check this out. So he's going to line up here on the corner of the box, put his crosshair right there, and then jump throw. Afterwards, he's going to throw some flashes over the roof here for Cat. As you can see here, let's go to Rain's POV. Full blinding the boys. And we can also see that smoke that Frozen threw is actually a corner lurk smoke, just like Kerrigan threw in the round before. And the round just goes from there. Pretty straightforward. You have Rain, he just gets the double entry. They are on an eco, but the strat is still very solid. All right, now remember that strat, and we're going to run it again next round. Not this round, but next round. In the meantime, we have long take util. So this is the only round, the entire game, where we get to see the best version of a long take for both teams. There's a lot to break down here, so I want to start with what we're about to see. First things first, Rops just threw the new corner smoke. What is the new corner smoke? It's a smoke that lands exactly where Apex is standing, because what happens is, because smokes in CS2 are huge, it actually blocks off every angle, including car, including the angles from CT and sight, so that pretty much anybody that comes through the smoke is committed. Okay. That's the first step. Next, let's go ahead and slow it down so we can see the rest of the nades coming in here. We got the lurk smoke that from the CTs that we talked about before. As you can see in the air, we got that corner smoke that Rops through. We'll go get the lineup in a second because I want to show you the smokes. I want to show you the smoke lineup, and then I want to show you the flashes. As you can see, we got the first molly that's going to land in front of the doors. The second molly that's going to land in the blue bin. That way, any T's coming out are going to full burn to death. As you can see here, we are going to see Frozen burn, and we get one player to pit. And we also have Zaiwu, who's corner, who threw some flashes for his team, and now will choose to commit through this corner smoke, which, by the way, I do believe has missed just a tiny bit, because I'm pretty sure it's supposed to land closer so that Zaiwu can't even go through this smoke without being able to see. Let's rewind the round. I think I said that right. Rewind the round, and let's go see Rops throw the smoke. So, off of spawn, he's going to get lined up on this corner right here. And he's going to just stand above, aim right above there. As you saw, you can rewind that one, and he's going to jump though. There's two flashes he throws to go with his team, but it's not over. There's one more set of flashes, which is from Mr. Rain, who is going to throw these late ones. I have to rewind it just a tiny bit again. He's going to rethrow these late ones for his team as well. He's going to get stuck on this corner and put his crosshair right like this, and he's going to jump throw. Now, this is all of the util for the T's, which is going to pretty much allow for them to just come out here and win this fight. Look at that. Everything has went perfectly. Now, for the CTs, what did they do wrong? Well, to be honest, I don't really think they did anything wrong, except for the fact that Apex should have mollied in the door, which would have disallowed that pick that came through from Brokey. And also, I feel like it doesn't really matter that this smoke missed for the phase. But yeah, this is just how long fights have always gone. They're coin flips, right? That's why Dust 2 is not a fun map, at least in my opinion, because this long take, both teams did the things that were best for both of them, and one team's still going to lose. It's just a coin flip, right? And I mean, of course, Apex could have hit that molly. Maybe that's why they lost. Actually, you know what? It definitely is why they lost this round, because of that pick that came through. And it also allows for them to come through late and kill him in pit. So yeah, I'm not sure, but that's a really cool way of looking at the long take that we have for the new Dust 2. Because previously, not to be a super nerd, but let me actually just tell you how it was in CSGO. We had a corner smoke that landed here for the T's. We had instant smoke for in the door. We threw the lurk smoke, so you would actually have these two connected smokes like this. Don't laugh at the map, please. You'd have these two connected smokes for the CTs to cross the pit, and then you would have one person bounce a molly off this wall, and then yeah, that was the old long take for both teams with the same flashes, and then it was basically the same thing. It was just a bunch of gunfights. Yeah. But as you can see, it's changed a little bit. We have the new corner smoke. We have the new lurk smoke. We have it's getting kind of dank. It's getting kind of dank, but I really like it. Okay. So if you remember that strat that we just talked about, the fast cat strat, you're about to see it again, except this time it's a different strat, but it looks like that strat. So we're going to get the booster Roo here from Rops. He's going to boost Brokey so that he could see. And in the meantime, off the back of that, we do get an Xbox smoke thrown. And Frozen is going to line up for this smoke again. Why? Well, what's happening is Rain, yes, Rain is going to send it up Cat as if it was the same strat as before that they just ran on the eco. He's going to go up here. He's going to get the flashes from Frozen. And actually, it's just a diversion. Remember, Vitality just saw this strat and they knew it was a Cat rush, right? And this time, instead, what we're seeing is everybody's still looking Cat. Apex, Zaiwu comes from CT. Spinks He's on an island, and he's about to get 4v1. That's why this strat is good. It's very lucky that the CTs have not put any pressure towards the long as well, and that just makes it easier. So Rain is going to sell this. Oh, man, I've done it again. Dude. Okay, so Rain is going to sell this. He's going to go up cat. In the meantime, the boys are going to go out towards long. I've just completely fucked this round. Cat. So, of course, Rain is going to sell this. Now, in the meantime, Spinks is going to have to make a decision here on trying not to commit to long too much, because if he does commit too much, then he will die and give open the door to the round, as you can see here. Now, we have cat control, we have long control, we have a fast A split off the back of something that we faked. Well, not really faked. Off the back of a strat that we conditioned on an eco, which is very smart from FaZe. So now Rain can lurk up cat. We get to come up long. It should be a free round in theory, right? Like this should just be over. Rain just needs to live, right? Rain needs to live. Why? Because with the guns that we know that they have, which aren't good, we know that they can't really contest long. So the A site players are going to push cat, especially since they just recognize that there's a big number of people towards long. They're going to push the minority of players. So you have 4 versus 1, you want to go towards the less, right? So they're going to go and try to trade Rain, and Rain is very aware of that. As you can see, he even knows that he could be getting flanked, so he just needs to live. He knows that they're coming for him. He just needs to make sure that they don't have a chance, because once this exit comes in, he's just going to pincer them, and Vitality have lost the round. It's very important to recognize this as a player like Rain here. Your life is way more valuable than you think, and as you can see, him dying actually makes this round scary, because now there's an AK in Zywoo's hand, and yeah, it could get out of hand quickly. Look at all these fights. These fights suck. If Rain had lived a little bit longer, we would not be worried as much. Yeah, and this is the thing where Dust 2 can get out of hand quickly, is you just got to be careful. You just got to be careful. Luckily, Brokey is going to step up for us here, and yeah, that's going to be the round. Either way, really cool strat that they ran there. I love that idea. I've got it one more time. This is going to be the round where Kerrigan's just going to send it down mid and put this pressure as if they're taking fast cat. And he actually is going to take fast cat. So here's what I was talking about. This is new meta. Now, I've been watching a lot of Dust 2 games that have been played at the highest level, and there is a couple of different lineups for the same smoke that Frozen's been throwing, but the idea is still the same. So what we're going to see is Frozen's going to throw this smoke from spawn yet again, and he's going to flash for Kerrigan. Now, the reason, and Kerrigan's also going to molly, now the reason that this is being thrown is because this smoke denies all of the annoying op picks that people like to go for with the op. Zywoo already hit this shot once this game. If he was opping close from on top of this railing here, all of these angles get smoked off. With the molly behind it, nobody can play close, and it just, you can use the smoke as a lurk smoke afterwards, like we've seen. They've been using it to do cat rushes. They've been using it to do fake cat rushes into long takes. This smoke is insanely good. I think it was still possible to throw this in CSGO, but it was not nearly as strong as it is in this game. And this new way of taking cat is insane, because what they have is Frozen sits out here, he throws the smoke, and then he flashes over, so nobody can even play close, and then they can't push long because Frozen's here. So they're allowed to do 2 in towards lower, maybe 3 mid, however they want to do it, and Frozen can literally sit outside, hold the long push, while we get to take all the other stuff, and it's just free. That's how the T's are playing this map these days, and the coin flip long fights, neither team is going for them as often as they did in CSGO, because you don't need to. CT side, you could push mid. T side, you could do fast cat. You could do lower defaults. You have so many more options just because the utility has changed. Can you believe it? Skybox is being lifted. All of those things have made Dust 2 tactically a lot better than it was at the end of CSGO, which is why I think that this map will probably be in a pretty good state for a while. So I just watched the rest of the round. Nothing really happened. Kerrigan went for a spawn drop, but I thought that it was really interesting to note that Vitality played their CT side like it was still CSGO. They didn't have any of those like groundbreaking smokes, the new stuff that they were doing. They just did everything pretty much as standard as you would expect. But it's a team like FaZe, or a team like Big actually, who's really pushing the boundaries of the new map with the new engine. And we're seeing this new corner smoke. We're seeing this fast cat smoke. We're seeing a lot more things being played with. And I think that if you want to look at stuff, teams that are exciting to watch on Dust 2, that's who I'm going to put. I'm going to put FaZe. I'm going to put Big. And it actually doesn't stop there. We go into their CT side as well. Not as many cool things to talk about, because it's mostly just the same. T side is very similar for Vitality. And then CT side, they don't really do much. We're going to skip pistol like we always do. And let's look at my notes here. Round 15 is the first round I wanted to talk about. So that would be this round right here. Now, in this round, what do we see? Round 15, new long util from Brokey. So let's watch Mr. Brokey. Let's get the map off the screen. Brokey's going to get behind the car here, and he's going to line up like so. Give this one a jump, though. That's the door smoke, and then he's going to flash in front for the CTs. Rain actually misses his molly. Very unlucky. But yeah, they're going to get this long take. That lurk smoke gets thrown for... Actually, I think the T's through this corner smoke. I think it missed. And yeah, you're going to just see it. Let's run it back from the T's perspective. I actually do think... Oh, yeah, it was Apex's smoke. Did it get blocked by something? Oh, the molly. Oh, yeah. Rain Smith's molly. That's funny, isn't it? Anyway, so it actually gives the CTs like a weird lurk smoke to play around. I think that that's supposed to be the new corner smoke that I was talking about that Apex just threw, but it landed in that molly. I didn't even catch that the first time I watched. Let's just get the lineup here. You know what? This is the lineup for the new corner stuff. Here you go, boys. We're learning in real time. So Apex is going to line up in front of this door here. And he's going to aim right above that leaf and give it a left click. There you go. That's the new corner smoke. It's supposed to land right there, but it gets blocked by this molly that Rain missed, which is actually just, it's so funny. Anyway, yeah, the long take goes about as well as you could expect for the T's, given the missed smoke. And Brokey and Rain are going to clean it up. And I thought that that new util that Brokey threw was really cool. The fast door smoke as well as the flash that I liked. But yeah. Round number 16 for FaZe has one of the coolest CT setups that I've ever seen. I'm going to tell you exactly what happens, and then we're going to watch it. So we're going to have a one-man long take. Brokey's going to throw a smoke that lands in the door from right here, and he's going to come up and flash for Kerrigan. I think it's Kerrigan to take long. In the meantime, we're going to get a player fast catted as well, and what we get is we get cat control and we get long control. And then you can come back and just shift into mid late, and you have your one solo B. As long as they don't rush, then this setup is very strong because you get... well, you basically get control of everything at once. Risky setup because you only have one person in every area, but it is pretty cool. So we already covered the fast cat earlier in the half. Let's go ahead and see Brokey throw this util from the corner here. Just like this. A tap W jump throw comes up, and then he flashes Kerrigan. Again, Rops is also holding a flash for Rain to swing from Cat. Look at that. Beautiful stuff from FaZe. They get the entry, they get the info, but most importantly, they have long, and they do see 4, now only 3 people in towards mid, so the setup can shift accordingly, and that's a very, very strong start for the CTs. There is a very interesting smoke that FaZe are throwing. I will talk about it a little bit when they do, but not this round. But what the smoke is instead of smoking cross, they actually smoke inside the doors because it makes it easier for them to push into lower. I think they throw that next round that we're going to cover, so we can look at it then. But yeah, we're just going to see more of this mid stuff here, and it's mostly just going to go the way of Vitality. Yeah, FaZe kind of just fighting very aggressively. I actually saw the analysts were talking at the end of this game and saying that FaZe were going for way too many aggressive fights on their CT side, and to be honest, I somewhat agree, and I think we're going to kind of see that a little bit more the more we watch. Round number 20. This round for Vitality is actually really cool. Here's that smoke I was talking about. Rops is going to smoke inside the doors. It makes it a lot easier to push into lower, and also denies that lower molly we were talking about. Now the strat here for Vitality is something that we just talked about on FaZe's T side, which is when you run down mid here and you go for a fast mid to B play. Now the reason that this works is because if you hear the CTs taking long, which they do because of the mollies, the flashes, and the smoke, you can pretty reliably expect there to only be one person mid, and the closest rotate will be you know, where like car, or I think they call this spot game helper. I think that's an NA call probably, but whatever. Yeah, like this spot right here. And because of that, if you actually disrespect this mid smoke, walk through, trade this guy and smoke mid to B, you have a 4v1 you know, on the B player. Once a half, if you go for a strat like this, especially on a scoreline like 9-10, look at this. Apex walks right through the smoke here, and they don't see anybody, and now they're just going to challenge Rain, who's playing CT. They get the kill, they smoke mid to B, and all of a sudden the B players are scared. They should be too, because they're in a lot of trouble, and they just need they can take their time here. Like Vitality, they know that they don't need to do anything because they don't need to overreact. They're winning. That lurk smoke is going to allow them to creep up on onto Rops. He's actually going to get taken down, and there's literally nothing you can do here. Frozen is in a 1v5. It's already over. If he gets 1, so be it. If he gets 2, all right, but like it doesn't really matter. It's already too late. The rotations are locked out. You can't come through CT. The round is over. Really cool stuff from Vitality. I love a confidence play like this. Also, another cool thing, which is that smoke that we talked about in lower, denying that molly, allowing for people to go to lower. Also a really cool innovation for FaZe. Just a lot you can learn from this round, actually. Round number 21, we have a mid fight that I wanted to talk about. So I think in this round, what happens is, yes, this is a FaZe mid fight. Let's go ahead and watch it from the perspective of FaZe, if I get the map off of me. So Brokey's going to push up mid here, and this is Brokey, of course, with the op. Doesn't see anything towards top mid. They have not thrown any utility that would make it clear to Vitality that they're pushing. Mid door does get smoked from Vitality, and Brokey's in a really good spot to get the opening here. Beautiful. Off the back of that, Rain's also in a good spot. This is just that mid stuff that I'm talking about on CT side, where CT mid aggression is always going to be viable, especially if nobody's spotting mid. And it's not meta. You would think like, oh, well, what if they just spot mid? I mean, look. There's only so many rounds that you can have your opera here, because if your opera is always mid holding push, then when is he going to go for these long picks? When is he going to go for a B pick? When is he going to go cat early? Like, you understand, like, you can't just have your opera sit here every round. It doesn't work. It won't work, which is why these CT pushes are always going to be really strong whenever they're timed correctly. And of course, Kerrigan's going to call them at the right time. So that's just a beautiful round overall. They just take that timing, they win the round. It's just S tier stuff. Like, I love seeing mid fights on Dust 2. It's my favorite part of the map. It's actually, like I said earlier, the only part of the map that I really like. Okay, so FaZe is going to lose this next round. I won't dig too deep into it. They just lose. Another mid to B. They save. Final round of the game. What do we have? We have CT aggression for FaZe, which I actually think is the reason they lose the game. Like I said earlier, let's watch it. So we have a early aggression from Rops and Frozen. So Rops is going to throw that smoke. Frozen is going closer, doesn't get picked. Rops is going to get into lower. Rain is actually going to swing from cat. It's this double CT aggression, which I'm starting to wonder if it's too risky. Like, sure, earlier in that game, Vitality had Apex and they had Spinks in lower, and I said that it was good. And I still think it's good. But let's rewind a little bit and think about how often FaZe is pushing in towards mid and lower as opposed to Vitality. They weren't doing it nearly as often. The boys on Vitality, they're on guard. Like, they're expecting this kind of stuff. So this is where I'm starting to wonder if it's maybe gone a little bit too far. Because now what happens is you just have your individuals that they can't really help each other. I mean, at a certain point, like this, they're on a timer. Like, they're going to get crept up on like this, and then you're in trouble. And that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. Like, yeah, Rops is still trapped though. He's still trapped, and Flames is going to hit a dirty double kill here, which is actually going to be the reason that FaZe lose. I don't know. I think the CT aggression is okay to a point. I'm not criticizing them for doing it, but I just think in a game like this, it's FaZe always likes to play like they have nothing to lose, but it's when it doesn't work is when it's a question mark. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if it would have worked, we would have been like, oh my god, they're geniuses. But because it didn't work, I'm starting to wonder, it's like, was there a better play on the board? I'm not sure, but this was the first Dust 2 demo review that I've done. If you did enjoy, if you learned, make sure you guys sub to the channel, and let me know which demo you guys want to see next. It should be a semi-final matchup from the Blast event. I'll have it up tomorrow. Appreciate you guys for watching this far if you did, and that's it for me. I'll be out of here. See you guys later. Much love, and that's it.